Are we becoming too lax when it comes to airport security? Are we making ourselves vulnerable for another terrorist attack? Joining us right now live is terrorism expert Christopher Hinn. Christopher, thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning, Michael. How you doing?
Good. So we're hearing more about these security breaches, those weapons that we were just talking about, making their way past the TSA agents. Are we becoming too comfortable?
I think with TSA in specific, if TSA, one of their standards is really to remain on ongoing education. But at times, I think we all get lax, especially when we don't see any excitement at the airport. But in this specific case, I think you're going to see a lot of, there's a new administrator, of course, and I think you're going to see a lot of changes and tightening up some of the issues with especially security procedures at any airport, regardless. And I think you may see a lot of young people coming in now, especially with the summer they're going back to school. So you're going to get a lot of new probably employees or part-times, and they may not be as educated or trained as well. And I think that's you'll see a change.
Christopher, we know that the 9/11 hijackers did test runs before they carried out their terrorist attack. Could that be the case, or are we just talking about people who forgot items?
I think, when you sit in front of a monitor at the airport and you're watching 1,000 items in a bag, you ought to sometimes miss something. But I think, for the record, I think TSA has done a great job in keeping knives and prohibited items, you want to call them, from getting on an aircraft.
That's true. They do stop a lot. If you could wave a magic wand, though, how would you change airport security? Would you make it a lot tighter? I mean, possibly having more body scanners? What do you think what's the solution here?
I think our security needs to be focused more on the percentages that we believe in, knowing more about the individual's background before they get on the aircraft. We're used to focus 95%. We thought everybody was bad. Actually, it's maybe 3% of travelers are the ones we need to be concerned about. So security is very important. I think we need just to get better equipment. I don't know if body scanning is the answer, but I'm sure we have a lot of other tools that we can utilize today at the airports that we can do a better job.
And when you're talking about airports, you're talking about a harder target. What about softer targets, maybe train stations, bus stations, even shopping malls? Do you think that could be the next place if we are attacked? It could happen? I
think you're touching on something very dear and close to my heart when you talk about ground transportation, Michael. Train stations are so vulnerable. I was on Amtrak last week from Washington, D.C. to Philadelphia. I boarded the train. No one asked me one question. I had my luggage with me. And of course, I was one of 1,000 people on that train. Yes, I think that's a huge concern. I think we need to start really looking at trains and buses. We have TSA has ground inspectors now, and they need to increase the numbers. And I think if it's Amtrak or if it's our train system, I think the budget that DHS has allocated in many areas for spendings, I think they need to be probably reconsider where that money needs to be spent and allow some of the train stations to utilize those funds for training and for equipment and better scanning.
All right, terrorism expert Christopher Hinn, thank you so much for joining us as always.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
Heidi.